Welcome to your writing class. In this video, I will walk you through an overview of the CELPIP writing task. The CELPIP writing will usually last around 55 to 60 minutes, and there are two tasks. Task 1, which is writing an email, and task 2, which is responding to a survey. So I'm going to walk you through both tasks. In the task 1, which is writing an email, you will be required to write an email responding to an everyday situation or an everyday to day context. It could be writing an email to your boss, to a restaurant manager, to your child's teacher, to your landlord, to the local government, to the police, to the bank. Everyday situation. There is nothing out of the ordinary or nothing too difficult. It is really about real life situations you will encounter when you move to Canada. The time recommendation for this task is around 27 minutes. You can spend lesser, but you cannot go higher. Actually, once your time is over or once your time is exhausted, that page automatically shuts down. So you will not be able to spend an extra time for that part. What about the word count? You are required to write between 150 to 200 words. However, we always recommend that you stay close to 200. The more words you write, the more you are able to develop the question or develop your response, and the higher score you will get. So if you are targeting to score 9 to 12, 9 to 10, you should aim to write close to 200, actually 180 and above. But the word count recommendation is actually 150 to 200 words. Now, can you go a little higher than 200? Yes, CELPIP gives a 10% leeway, which means you can write up to 220 words and as low as 135 words. However, we do not recommend this. I do not recommend this. Stay within the word count. It is okay to go a little higher, maybe 205, 206, all right? But if you go more than 220, you will be penalized. There would always be a word counter on the screen, so you do not have to count the words manually. You do not have to count it yourself. So every word you type on that screen, there is a word counter at the bottom to tell you how much words you have written. So I always recommend you keep your eyes on the timer and the word count. Keep your eyes on the timer to make sure you are on track without spending so much time, and also keep your eyes on the word counter to know if you're writing too much. Well, it's okay. At the end, you can always proofread your work and reduce your word count if you're writing too much. You can actually reduce it, trim out unnecessary or irrelevant information. But it's very important that you know how many words you have written before your time is up. One important feature of the CELPIP writing is the spell check. Yes, you heard me right. I think right now, CELPIP is the only English language proficiency exams that has a spell check. So how does it work? You will be notified for every word you spell incorrect. Yes, so for example, if I want to spell information and I get the spelling wrong, there will be a red dot, some red dots at the bottom warning me that my spelling is wrong. So all I have to do is right click on that word and I will get 3 options that are very similar. Of course, you know English. That's why you're taking an English language proficiency exams. You will be able to tell which of the spelling is correct. So you just click on it. Please note, style check is different from autocorrect. CELPIP doesn't have autocorrect. Can you tell me the difference? You got it right. Yes, the autocorrect automatically corrects your spelling. That's what you are probably used to when you're chatting on your WhatsApp, Instagram, or you just typing on your phone or on your iPad, it automatically corrects your spelling, right? CELPIP doesn't automatically correct your spelling. It only warns you that your spelling is wrong. So all you have to do is right-click and choose the correct one. I always recommend to my students to just ignore the red dot as you go, because there is a lot of anxiety that comes with the exam situation. And sometimes if you stuck to correct every single spelling, you might just be forgetting your ideas. So I recommend that you write till the end and then leave yourself 3 minutes at the end to go back to correct your spellings. But do whatever works for you. It is just my recommendation. Whatever works for you is fine. Before you start writing, it is very important that you carefully read the question and make sure you understand the questions. The CELPIP writing task 1 is usually written in this format: the scenario or the topic, who you should write to, and what you should write about. So there would always be a topic or a scenario to set off the scene. And then write to the manager, write to the credit card company, and then at the bottom you have 3 or 4 prompts that you're required to write on. Usually it is 3 prompts, but sometimes it is 4. So just keep an open mind. You might get 3 or you might get 4. But again, they are really easy questions that you can answer because you live in real life. They are all real life situations. Now let's move on to the CELPIP writing task 2, which is the survey. In this task, you will be given a survey question where you have to choose between 2 options. So there is always a scenario or always a topic, and then you will be asked to choose between 2 options, option A or option B. So you're going to click which option you prefer, and you will tell us the reason why you prefer that option. So again, this question is divided into 3 parts: the topic or the scenario, the instructions, and the options. So all you have to do is to click on either option A or option B. Please note, if you do not click on an option, you will not be able to write. There will be no board or no portal for you to type in your answers. So if you are struggling to find where to write, it is because you haven't chosen an option. So that is the first thing you do. Choose your options, then you can write. Everything I said about the task 1 applies to the task 2. You have your spell check and you have the word counter at the bottom of the screen. You also have the timer at the top of it. Now, how much time do we have for the writing task 2? The recommended time is 26 minutes. You can spend lesser time, but you cannot spend more time. Again, once the time is up, it automatically shuts down. You cannot spend extra time. It is important to note that there is a next button at the top of the screen, the top right corner. There is a next button. That button is there so you can move on to the next part before your time is up. Notes: if you click on next, you will not be able to go back to the previous part. So some students have had situations where they see the writing task 1, they read the questions, and they're like, okay, let me think about it a little bit. And then they click on next. Let me just go check the next question, and then I will come back to answer this. The moment you click next, that is the end. You will not be able to go back to the previous part. So I do not recommend clicking next. If you've got extra time, use it to go over your work again and again. You might just find something that needs to be corrected. You might just find a mistake, a grammatical error, sentence error. There are a lot of things you can just keep checking in your work. Why hurry? Clicking on next will not save you any extra time because you cannot carry over the extra time from the previous part. So if I've got 5 minutes left from part 1 and I intend to carry it over to task 2, it doesn't work like that. Every extra time you have is gone the moment you click on next. So there is really no benefit in clicking next, except you will finish your test a little sooner. It's really not worth it. Now, let's talk about the word count. Again, for both tasks, you have the same word count, 150 to 200 words. So whatever we have said regarding the writing task 1 also applies to the writing task 2. So for both tasks, you are being rated using the marking criteria standard, which we're going to talk about in the next video. The marking criteria standard is divided into 4 categories, which is content and coherence, vocabulary, readability, and task fulfillment. So each of these 4 categories are broken down into 4 factors each. So in the next video, we're going to walk you through the scoring or the marking criteria standard for the writing task 1 and 2. So you know exactly what the raters are looking for as they mark your word. In future videos, we will go deeper into each of the writing tasks. But if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. See you in our next video and bye.